All right. I know this is going to take a little while for people to come in here because I screwed up. Hopefully the chatters will find their way in here. Hi, Pugs. It's the Rant. We do this every day, Monday through Friday, noon till whenever. There was a problem with this setup today, and I accidentally started two streams at the same time. This is the original stream. This is where you're supposed to be, and this is where we are. Okay. We got two people in the chat room because I just kicked everybody out. That's okay. We'll build back up. I have faith. Got a lot of stuff. There he is. There's Peter. All right. I knew Peter would be there. All right. Let's wait for everybody else. Again, I apologize. I know I just moments ago told you that, we'll come back at 12:30. That's because I estimated, me being dumb, I estimated it would take at least 10 minutes for me to figure out what was going on. And guess what happened? It took less than 10 seconds for me to figure it out. So here we are. Hi, Jameson. All right. Peter's now here. We'll wait. While we're waiting, I'll enjoy my final can. I bought all 6 cans of the Code Mix a couple weeks ago, or a couple days ago, and now I'm out. So here we go. Code Mix. It's the official drink because I like it. That's why they're not paying me anything. That's not a thing that's happening. Code Mix. So good, it should be illegal. Or is the better slogan, Code Mix, so good, it's probably illegal. Or soon to be, Code Mix, so good, soon to be illegal. Something like that. I don't know. I'd have to work it out. I got to workshop that with my team. Ugh. All right. Now Jeff's complaining about the fucking camera. What's wrong with the camera? What's wrong? Is there something wrong with the camera? I think the camera looks fine. I think I figured out a workable situation with the lights. Full disclosure, yesterday I got into a big rant about why I've chosen to go with the waving American flag behind me instead of just a current stream of news. I, of course, made it a big chest-thumping moment to say that just because I'm non-political, I can't love my country. I love my country. The thing I like least about my country is the politics of my country. I am tired of the American flag, the beautiful symbol of the hopes and dreams of our founding fathers. I am tired of that symbol being whored out to every bikini model on the 4th of July or whatever. Or every duplicitous politician who wants to sell you a bag of beans while he's got the big flag pin on. I trust no politician wearing a flag pin in 2024. It is obvious what you're doing with it. It's become a symbol of manipulation and duplicitous politics. It's that too. Not me, though. I've decided we're taking it back. Regular fucking Americans can also claim the American flag and can claim to be a patriot without being, one of these people who completely define themselves by their political ideology, or less so. I don't want to even give credit for some of these people of having an ideology. Their political tribalism. It's tribalism. It's not ideology. All right, there we go. Camera's all right, says Peter. All right, Jeff says it's on his hand. Okay, very good. So, Jeff, see, when your angst becomes public in the chat room in such a way that it affects me and it affects my ability to do this show, well, then we've got problems. All right, I talk small talk. On the other rant. If you missed it, you'll never see it because I just deleted it. But my son's football team got their ass kicked last night, and I'm nursing some wounds. All the shit that I said on that other rant, never be heard again. You people that were in the chat room then, you get it. So anyway, getting the flag thing back. So full disclosure, the reason I went with the flag is because, remember, I've been struggling with the lighting, and the lighting had a lot to do with the giant screen behind me being on breaking news, and they'd go to commercials and the screen would change. So the lighting in the camera changes. So I'm just going with this flag waving because the camera keys in on that. That doesn't change. And now we get decent lighting, and I'm not driven nuts. Everybody wins. America wins. My vanity wins. Peter says, I don't know why everyone else isn't up yet. I know. Where's all our people in the chat room? I think maybe they stepped away thinking that your show, because I said in the other recording, I said, give me till 12:30 and I'll restart the show. So maybe they stepped away. Maybe they're pooping. Maybe, who knows? They could be doing anything. But I honestly don't want to really start the show until, 12. I don't know what that point is. Frank's here. USA all the way. Frank knows. Say it loud, say it proud, man. This idea that only real extreme people like America. It's like, no, we all like America, man. We all think the flag is cool. Objectively, it is the coolest flag in the entire world. It is. I know I've got a little bit of location bias for sure. But look at this gorgeous son of a bitch. This is cool. We got a lot going on our flag. First of all, the color scheme. I mean, does it get any better than red, white, and blue? That's kind of wild. It's fun. It pops. We got stars, and all of our shit has meaning. Like the stars are each a state, I think. Something like that. You know what flag I really like though? Here's the U.S. flag that I think is pretty cool because I was just a little kid when this happened. But you guys remember 1976? Nah, many of you don't. But 1976 was the bicentennial. America was 200 years old. And I maintain, you little ones, gather round. I maintain none of y'all have experienced the 4th of July unless you experienced America's bicentennial back in 1976. That's where my true love affair with the flag began. You know what's really screwed up too? Sometimes if you go into a really bad neighborhood, you might see a fire hydrant that still has like the remnants of being painted red, white, and blue. Yeah, because in 1975, the United States government painted all the fire hydrants in America red, white, and blue in honor of our nation's bicentennial. So all the fire hydrants, and for 10 years, like in 1985, you still had, but that's what I say. When you go through a really shitty neighborhood with absolutely no tax base, you still see a fire hydrant that's got red, white, and blue chip paint. Anyway, if you didn't live through the bicentennial, then you've never had a real, I say, 4th of July. Now, I know that in a couple of years, we're going to come up on our 250. What are we going to call that? They'll hype that because we live in America, and they'll hype that, and they'll figure out a way to make money off of 250. But 250 ain't a thing. 200 is a thing. I mean, let's be honest. 100 is the thing. That's the big one. Maybe the first. The first is also a big one. This is our first. And then 100 years later, that's yes. And then I can see how 200 years later, in 1976, we did it up big. This country, for an entire year, celebrated the 4th of July. That's what I'm trying to get at. That's my point. For an entire year, 4th of July wasn't just one day the way it is sort of now. 4th of July, it was 4th of July season for an entire year back in 1976. Anyway, that's we love the flag. We love the flag around here. And we don't whore it out. You know about that. I don't allow my kid to wear flag stuff on 4th of July. I think it's too pedestrian. I think there's too much of an opportunity for him to some way. What would we call it? I don't want him dropping mustard on his flag shirt, right? I don't know. We don't allow that in our house. And we don't fly a flag for Flag Day. We just don't have a flag in our garage that leans up against the stepladder that we yank out every couple to show everybody what a great American we are. And sometimes you go through these neighborhoods and you see these flags and there's oil stains on them or they're torn and tattered. Can't do that. I don't have a flag. You know why? Because I just do not think that I could take on the responsibility to appropriately handle the great flag of this country. So I don't have one. So I'm not posing. I'm not going to put out a flag look at me, I love America. Here's what I'm going to do instead. I'm going to host a show every day from Monday through Friday at noon, and I'm going to fly the flag behind me, and that's going to be my contribution. All right, there we go. Enough about the flag. Peter says he was 16 in 1976. He remembers it. I bet you got drunk on the bicentennial. 16? Hell yeah. Barnes says, I was 1 in 76. I just thought that's what fire hydrants looked like. Yeah, but you remember the fire hydrants, right? Wasn't that a thing? That's kind of a cool Lost America thing, I think. Barney says, I also thought painting tree trunks white in your front yard was a landscaping trend, but apparently it was a Dutch elm disease. Yeah, remember white trees? Holy shit. Barney, I forgot about white trees. Yeah, all the trees in the late 70s were painted white. Or maybe it was just my grandma's block on the south side of Chicago that had a lot of like big trees. Maybe that was why they were painted white. I don't know. Let's see here. Mikey D. What's Mikey D? Mikey D on location today? What's he saying? He says, howdy. Where's he at? Mikey D, howdy from the... I can't make that one bigger. Hold on. Hold up. Happy Friday to everybody. We're just having kind of a lazy Friday because I screwed up on the opening of the show. We got 1 minute before we need to officially start the show. Leanne says, I totally remember it. I was 10. The movie Dazed and Confused is all about 1976 in Southeast Texas. Yeah, I get. Is that the summer of 76? Or is it? I always thought like Dazed and Confused was later than that. But okay. I could see how in Dazed and Confused, if you're looking around in the background, you could see some red, white, and blue fire hydrants. Jameson says, anybody making it to the fair this weekend? I'll tell you, I ain't going to the fair. Did you see what this Texas state rep said? Some Texas state rep said he ain't going to the fair. He ain't going to the fair this year because he's not allowed to bring his pistol. And if he's not allowed to bring his pistol in the fair, well, by his logic, that says that it is an incredibly dangerous place to be, and he doesn't want to take that risk. I don't know who that guy is. I just read it this morning. You're not going to the fair. Some state rep in Texas. He ain't going to the fair because if he can't bring his pistol in to defend himself against all them people from Dallas or wherever. I haven't been to the fair in a long time. I used to go to the fair every year. Well, we used to broadcast live from the fair. So you know what? That's it. It seems like I have not been to the fair since broadcasting live. How's Timmy, the world's tiniest horse? Is he still alive or did he die? How long do shockingly small ponies live? You guys know Timmy? Timmy was a little pony. He was a tiny horse. Tiniest horse in the world, they say. Here's to you, Timmy. Mikey D says, been to the fair one time since probably 94. Took my kids about 5 years ago, maybe a little bit longer, and they were less than impressed. And we stayed literally about 2 hours and drove home. Yeah, man. Look, we have some remnants of our culture that programming here we go. Jeff hates when I talk about programming, but programming dictates that we just accept them as things that we do. And there's no reason to still do them now, but there was a reason before to do them. Case in point. I mean, this is because Mike says his kids think the fair is a bit corny. Parades, okay? There is no reason in 2024 to have parades anymore. There used to be a reason for parades. It was how you communicated a message. You would parade through the streets, making as big a spectacle as possible so that people would then understand your message. This stopped being a thing probably in the early 1910s. And yet we in America, we still have parades. They've morphed into something else. Carnivals. We don't need fucking drifter meth heads coming through our town, setting up rickety tilt-a-whirls in the Target parking lot once a year. Everybody lives within driving distance of a Six Flags. But no, we still do carnivals because nothing's probably going to happen. We are, look, I understand it. It's the economy of the absolute lowest among us. Carny people who are carny. We allow them into our town and then bring our kids to whatever it is they've set up and say, have fun, Bobby. Mom and Dad are going to be in the beer garden. You go ride that roller coaster that looks like probably shouldn't have been thrown together in about 8 hours during closing time here at Target. But go ahead, you get on that roller coaster that this fine gentleman put together while high as fuck. I don't know. I don't do carnivals. I don't like carnivals. I'll play the games. I'll eat the food, but I ain't going on any carnival rides. What are you, nuts? I've had a number of bad experiences. Do you know what I once saw? You want to know why carny dudes suck? Okay, so I was a kid. I was like 15 years old, and I was on a carnival ride. This is in Brementown Mall, and we were upside down. It was one of these like little Ferris wheel things, but you can spin the wheel and go upside down. We were spinning it. We were upside down, and I was wearing baggy shorts and a whole bunch of change and shit. I'm like 15, right? It's like all the money I have back in 1985, 1984. So all my change, I probably had like, $6 in quarters. All my change goes pouring out of my pockets. And you see my change go bling, 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 bling. And it falls all the way down to where the ride operator is. And I'm upside down and I'm hanging there and I'm like, oh, good. He's picking up my money. How nice. Thanks, dude. So the ride ends, I get out and I go, can I have my money back? And he's like, get the fuck out of here. I'm like, I saw you pick up my money. He's like, get the fuck out of here. So that's why my opinion of carny scum has been pretty steadfast over these years. Then also, you ever like be on a carnival ride and you look into the inner workings of the ride, like maybe you're on a tilt-a-whirl or something and you're in you're closest to where the gears are, and you ever look down in there and see like fucking wire and like duct tape and shit like that. No, thank you. Carnivals. We don't need carnivals. We don't need parades. And I don't think we need fairs anymore. The Texas State Fair. It's let's do one central location where we can show all the wares of our great state. And we'll do it in one central location because people will come from miles around because there's no such thing as the internet. I mean, the fair exists for a reason that is no longer necessary. So what is the fair now? It's just a cash grab. It's just a way to make money. And, it's tradition because we are programmed to go to the fair, even though there's no reason to go to the fucking fair. You want fucked up food like that? Just go to Clyde Warren Park any day of the week. There's a million food trucks that are selling all the same garbage that you get at the fair. You don't have to wait till 1 month. Crowds, it's expensive, it's a cash grab. Now, look, if you are a social person and you like to go out and you like to spend time with the masses, it's a wonderful community gathering event. But it doesn't serve a purpose. There is no purpose other than to make money for the people involved. It used to have a purpose. Jeff says, no more fairs, says the City Slicker. I don't know what you're talking about, man. We have big fairs. City Slickers. What do you think Navy Pier was designed for, you rube? You ever been in Milwaukee? The entire lakefront is the Wisconsin State Fairground. That's like Chicagoans' backyard. We're fair people. We have the Illinois State Fair down there in Springfield. I've only been once, though. That's too far. Why the fuck would I go to the Illinois State Fair, which is 6 hours away, when I can get in a car and in an hour I could be in Milwaukee at the Wisconsin State Fair, which is one of the supreme state fairs. You know why? You want to know what Wisconsin does with their state fair? Actually, no, I might be confusing two things. I didn't go to the Wisconsin. I went Summerfest. I think because Summerfest takes place on the Wisconsin State Fairgrounds on the lakefront. So maybe that's why I'm confusing it. Doesn't matter. Fairs are stupid, Jeff. I stand by it. I will die on that hill. Fairs are stupid. They are cash grabs. They serve no necessary purpose anymore, although I concede they once did. They're nothing more than parades. They're stationary parades. They're parades and carnivals, but go ahead. You keep carrying water for these bullshit programmed events. I do think civic and communal gatherings are nice, though. So I'm not completely against the idea of fairs. Like, I'll put it to you this way. If I was on a city council and they're like, let's get rid of the fair, when it was my time to talk, I would have said everything that I just said. But then when it came time to vote, I'd be like, no, man, we should still do it. Why would we stop? Hundreds haven't been killed yet. That's when we stop in America. Hundreds have to die before we go, Fair is nice, and it's tradition, and it's a Texas tradition, so I support it. Although I ain't going. I don't want to go. You know what else I love? My 15-year-old son, no interest. He's like, I've been. I'm 15, Dad. I grew up here my whole life. I've been. It's, I don't want to go. I want to just lay in bed and watch YouTube all day. I'd rather do that. I can watch videos that people have put up on YouTubes of fairs past, and even probably a live stream of the current fair. I don't have to leave the air conditioning. Hey, what is, never mind. I'm not going to ask that question. Barney says, is the burning of big techs a tradition now? Yeah, right. Remember when big techs caught on fire? Here's what happens when you get old. I don't know if big techs caught on fire 5 years ago or 20 years ago. I'm like, I don't, but I do remember when it was on fire. That was pretty fun. I want to say like around 2015. Maybe it was close to 10 years ago. I don't know. All right, let's get started, huh? What do you say we do the show here? It is before we do that, I do want to point something out. We do have an executive producer of today's show. Thank you so much. Our executive producer today is been an executive producer in days past. And let's just say happy executive producer day to Tracy D. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for helping me. The executive producer is the person who has tipped this show the most on the previous day. I also want to throw a shout out to, I think it's Leslie. No, I'm sorry. It's not. My bad. It's Tiffany. I'm so sorry. Tiffany also tipped, sent a very nice note along with her tip. She pointed something out that I had not noticed. And in fact, when I first read her critique, I was like, no, because I'm stubborn at first. And then I went and looked into it and I saw, I'm like, holy shit, she's right. And then I was like, ugh. So here's what Tiffany pointed out that none of you people had ever pointed out before. Or maybe you had and I just didn't notice. Apparently, quarter one of this show, the show is performed in 4 quarters. First one, antecedently on this day. Second one, birthdays. We go through birthdays. Then the third one is deaths. We look at people who died on this day. They go to heaven or hell. And then the fourth quarter is, all the stuff we do, the hot topics, trends, and all that. But what Tiffany pointed out was that in quarter one, apparently, antecedently had been spelt incorrectly all this time. And I'm like, no, it's not. That's not something I would do because I rely on spell check and shit like that. I'm like, that's not what I would. But guess what? She was 100% right. Antecedently was spelt incorrectly. It wasn't incorrectly incorrect. It was incorrect. I left a letter out. I think I left an N out. I left an N. How many N's are there in antecedently? 2. Okay, so I left the second N out and it was bugging her. And she's like, look, here's a tip, but you got to do something for me. You got to fix the spelling of antecedently. And I'll have you know that I did. So we've got that to look forward to. And that's something. That's something. All right, let's get started. It is The Rant with me, Pugs Moran, here live from the Kelly Moore Memorial Studios in the beautiful E-Gallery in Dallas's Design District. We are Radio Misfits Dallas, a proud friend and child of RadioMisfits.com. Let's get started. It is September the 27th. September the 27th is the 271st day of the year. There's 95 more until New Year's Day or till the new year. I don't know. I don't really think about that. Happy New Year. All right, now it's time for quarter one. Are you ready for this? Look at this. Boom. Properly spelt. Antecedently. There was no N before. And none of you people called me out on it. None of you. It's been up there for almost a year. And it took Tiffany. Thank you so much, Tiffany. That's good stuff. All right, antecedently on this day. This is where we look back at events that have helped shape our understanding of this day. You can call it This Day in History, or you can simply say, previously on September the 27th. On this day in 1066, William the Conqueror and his army set sail for the mouth of the Somme River. This, of course, began the Norman conquest of England. Let's hear it for William the Conqueror. William the Conqueror sitting over there in Normandy, looking at the throne situation in England and going, there's a case to be made where I should be in charge of all of this. And then somebody said, you're right, sir. And he said, rally the horses. And he went, and William the Conqueror. I believe that my family, at least one half of the Irish faction, is derived, not derived, but I guess, and their ancestral home was Normandy, which means we may have been Viking or we may have been native Frenchmen who were forced to live alongside the Viking. But in some way, shape, or form, my family went from St. Albans, which is St. Albans, something like that, which is in Normandy, France, to St. Albans in Ireland. And probably that journey probably began with the Norman invasion. There you go. William the Conqueror on this day in 1066 started his 1014, right? Isn't it 1014? Isn't that the day, the actual day when he wins? or lands or something, but it began today. Antecedently, on this day in the year 1540, the Society of Jesus receives its charter from Pope Paul III. The Society of Jesus. I talk a little bit about this. This is a Catholic thing, okay? They're more commonly known as the Jesuits. These are the people who this is the faction of the Catholic Church who believe first and foremost that Jesus is the dude, and it was his teachings and it's his word, and all the other stuff in the Bible is basically second to what would Jesus do. That's the whole Jesuit way. They're very humanitarian. They're very big in charity. They're very big in education, right? Jesuits are sort of how I describe myself when I find myself in a conversation with what, for lack of a better term, would be an evangelical Christian. I like to come into this debate or this conversation from a position of arrogance. It throws them off their game because here they think I'm a heathen because I don't go to their giant 50,000 foot amphitheater church. And I'm not. And I don't support their political candidates with, I vote for him and I love Jesus. I don't do that shit, right? So when we first start having our conversations about these things, we do it a lot. I have a number of friends who are like this. I always come in hot and kind of arrogant, and I stake my claim to being raised a Catholic, the only true religion that has anything to do with Jesus. All the other ones are religions of convenience. That's how I start. I go, when was your church founded? 1986? Cool. Mine goes back to like Roman days. Anyway. So I start from there. But whenever they start, proselytizing about their higher morality simply for attending the 50,000 seat sports arena that doubles as a church on Sundays, whenever they start proselytizing, I say, oh no, you got me wrong. I don't subscribe to any one religion, but I consider myself firmly a Jesuit. I absolutely believe that Jesus and the word of Jesus, all of that shit, I believe that that's all good. That is a user manual. Jesus was a user manual for humanity, for being cool. That's what he was. And he was the Son of God. And that's where I go, I don't know that. I don't know that. Here's what I do know. I think he was a real man. I understand there is some debate about people going, there was no Jesus. No, I believe Jesus was real. Whether or not Jesus rose from the dead and walked on water and all that, I don't know. I take a very Jeffersonian sort of look at Jesus. And when you do that, what you find is quite possibly the greatest human being who has ever lived. That's a dude. He's kind of a dude. He hated big business. He's throwing the moneylenders out. He's hanging out with the absolute lowest. I mean, he's a cool guy. He's like, hey man, if you people think I got these powers, here's what I want you to do with these powers that I have. Be cool to people whose asses you could easily kick. That's kind of Jesus's message. And that's sort of what the Jesuits go by. So it was on this day, the Society of Jesus, the Jesuits, which I believe is the only, you call it a religion if you want. I think Jesus is a philosopher. I think Jesus is, lacking any other evidence of supernatural and all that stuff. Let's just remove that because you may believe that and that may be your truth. And I don't care. I don't care if your truth is wrong. That's right. That's right. But just removing all of that, Jesus is a guy who had a message for humanity that now 2,000 years later, we still fucking are all about. The message or the manipulation of the message of Jesus or whatever you want is a big player in modern American politics. So, look, that dude was impactful. Society of Jesus on this day. All right, thank you. There you go. That was my faith-based rant for today. I don't go to church, but I do think Jesus is cool. And I don't think a lot of you people who go to these churches and claim to be godly, I don't think you know the first thing about what Jesus was like as a dude, as a hang, as a wingman. You have no idea. Jesus would hate that these... No, you don't know. Don't speak for Jesus. I think Jesus would hate you. I really do. You sound very judgy. Jesus didn't like judgy people. I had another hot take on Jesus that popped into my head a couple of minutes ago, but I was in the middle of a flow and I didn't want to address it. And I thought I'll go back to that later. And now here we are. And I can't remember what that hot take was. All right, let's go. Antecedently, on this day, 1540, the Society of Jesus is formed. On this day in 1903, the wreck of the old 97. Hey, now there's a piece of America. That's an iconic American cultural sort of thing that happened. We've all heard. And there's classic songs. The wreck of the old 97 is a great band. The old 97. Well, it was a postal train. And it was behind on schedule. And it was the number 97 postal train. It was behind schedule. It was going from somewhere in Appalachia, somewhere like North Carolina and Virginia. I don't know, somewhere in that area of the country. I'm not sure. But it was behind schedule and it was flying balls. And it got to a bridge and it lost its, let's call it traction. Tracks. Well, why not? It lost whatever and it went on its side and it went into the ravine and 11 people were killed. And it's the wreck of the old 97. And at the time, it was a terrible thing. And somebody wrote a song about it. And now we still know what it is, even though we have had many worse rail tragedies since. But there you go. The wreck of the old 97 on this day in 1903. Maybe if it wasn't so old, it wouldn't have wrecked. That's it's going to be my opener for tonight when I go to the Chuckle Hut. Born on this day in 1956, United States Air. Oh, here's a big one. This is cool. Here you go. On this day in 1956, antecedently, United States Air Force Captain Milburn G. Apt becomes the first person to exceed Mach 3. Fuck yeah. Mach 3. First person to go Mach 3. Oh, wait, what's this? There's more. Shortly thereafter, the Bell X-2 goes out of control and Captain Apt is killed. Oh, okay. So did he really achieve Mach 3? Yes, he did. What he didn't do was survive the achievement of Mach 3. That's the next thing. But he went a registered Mach 3 and then died. There you go. I'm sure his widow and orphans were comforted by the news that he was the first guy to go at a speed that everybody would start going at shortly thereafter. On this day, antecedently in the year 1998, the Google Internet search engine retroactively claims this date as its birthday. Happy birthday to Google. Remember the first time you heard the word Google? You were like, that can't be real. That's a stupid made-up word. Now it's like one of the most important words. Now it's a word that we use. Those fucking guys, Sergey Brin and, I don't know, let's call them Kelsey Grammer. I don't know. Two dudes that created Google. They fucked with us. They created this funky ass word, and we were all like, "That's a stupid word." People. Could you imagine investors, old like in what would this be? 1998. Okay, so 1998 is like a 70-year-old investor. He's long dead, but he's like, Google. Why? That's not how you mark. Nobody will. That old school. They went up against that old school guy, and they said, "No, seriously, this is what we're gonna call it. We're gonna call it Google." They're fucking with us because now look at us. We say this word a million times a day. Google it. I don't know. Let me Google it. We rely so heavily on that word. And it's a nonsense word. Born on this day, they're saying, 1998. All right, there you go. Let's do some birthdays. We got some cool birthdays and I want to run through them. Some of them I really want to talk about, but other ones, we just got to get through quickly. Born on this day in 1934, Wilford Brimley. You diabetes. Wilford Brimley. He's fun. Born on this day in 1936, Don Cornelius. Don Cornelius was cool. Cop, Chicago cop, south side of Chicago, started a dance party, became a national phenomenon. Became one of the most important forces in urban culture in America. Don Cornelius, a freaking god. Had depression, killed himself. Very sad. Shot himself in the head. Don Cornelius, born on this day in 1936. Born on this day in 1943. He gets up every morning at the alarm clock's warning and takes the 8:15 into the city. Randy Bachman, because he be taking care of business. Randy Bachman's like a god in Canada. Like down here, we're like, Bachman Turner Overdrive. They were all right. They had some hits. But like up in Canada, he's like way more important. He's like the Bob Dylan of Canada. I don't know that. I don't know what he. Anyway, Randy. They even made. He's so famous. His son, Tal Bachman, is also very famous in Canada. Tal Bachman. He had a hit here in America. He had like one hit, but up there in Canada, he's like really big. We'll move on. He's taking care of business, Randy Bachman. He's still alive, looks to be. Good for him. Happy birthday, Randy Bachman. I'll tell you, my friend Bachman Turner Overdrive opened up for Van Halen on a tour, and my friend Kurt went to see the band, and I go, "How was the opening act?" And he goes, "Oh, you mean Bachman Turner Overweight?" Because I guess they were old and fat. I just thought that was Bachman Turner Overweight. That's just funny to me. All right, speaking of born on this day in 1947, happy birthday. Oh, he's dead. That sucks. I hate when I do that. I forgot this guy died. Ladies and gentlemen, born on this day in 1947, Meatloaf. I played soft. Okay, so I got a fun Meatloaf story. So when I was doing radio in Chicago, I was working on a morning show, Kevin Matthews, and Meatloaf was touring. Meatloaf had like a massive career comeback. Like Meatloaf hadn't done anything in like 15 years. He had that 2 out of 3 ain't bad. You know, he had that success, which is in like the late 70s, early 80s. And then there was about 10, 12, 15 years where like Meatloaf did nothing. He did a couple of movies, but he didn't really do anything. And then all of a sudden, like in the mid 90s, he released a follow-up to that big album, and it was like massive. What was that song? God, I got all these bad 80s and 90s power ballads running through my head. I would do anything for love, but I won't do that. I won't do anything for love. He came back in such a big way. Huge. Massive. He was left for dead on the cultural roadside. And then all of a sudden, he has a song, and people are like, oh, Meatloaf's got a new album out, huh? You know, at this point, it's just sad. And it's just sad. He's going to keep trying. Oh, what's he doing? He's calling it Bat Out of Hell 2. Oh, my God. He's trying to leverage fame from like 13 years. And then it explodes. It is a bigger hit than any of the shit that he had back then. So anyway, Meatloaf is touring off the success of that, and he contacts our radio station. He says, hey, Meatloaf is going to be in town. They're staging, their Midwestern tour out of Chicago. He's going to be in a hotel room in Chicago living. He was wondering if you guys wanted to play softball. Meatloaf's got a softball team. So here's the deal. We thought, what? So like basically they came to us in our promotions department, our morning show, and they said, hey, Meatloaf, who's in town, they're looking to play some softball. And they were wondering if you guys, if the morning show wanted to put a team together and you guys could go play softball, it would be a big thing. We're like, yeah, that's a promotion we can do. So we threw it together and we played on a Saturday afternoon. We got some park district involved, and we were out there, and it was me and the morning show that I was a part of, but we had some ringers on our team. We went and got we had Tom Waddle, who was a Chicago Bear. He was on our team. We had Chris Chelios. He was on our team. We had Jeremy Roenick. He was on our team. And I thought we were going to win this game. I'm like, we've got 3 pro athletes on our team. And that's when I learned, just because you can play hockey doesn't mean you know how to play softball or that you know how to throw or catch or hit. Chelios was the best. Chelios was good. Chelios was fine. He played the hot corner. He was over there at third base, and he was fine. He did a good job. But the other guys, Roenick, not so great. Anyway, so we thought we had the edge because we were gonna bring them in, and we were gonna have a team full of ringers. And we're like, Meatloaf has no idea what's gonna happen. We've got a team full of pro athletes. Yeah, but not in baseball. We got hockey players and a retired football player. Meatloaf shows up with his team, okay? And from the very earliest, we knew we were in trouble. When they got all out of their cars and they're walking in, they've got all the gear. We're wearing sweatpants and T-shirts because we threw this team together. Meatloaf's team has absolute, Yankee-inspired uniforms that say Meatloaf and then the tour, and on the back it's got all the dates, and we're like, holy fuck. Then we saw the dudes who get off the bus. Meatloaf, it became aware, as we were told, when we were talking to Meatloaf, hey, so we're going to do 7 innings. We're going to play. So what we found out at that point was that Meatloaf is a baseball and softball playing fanatic. And Meatloaf made one of his prerequisites for getting a job on his tour that you had to have at least some minor or even professional baseball playing experience if you wanted to be a guitar tech or lug or all that. He had a team full of failed minor league baseball players, and they fucking destroyed us. Wasn't even funny. So here we are thinking we're going to show up and show him a thing or two. And then Meatloaf gets up. Meatloaf pitched. That's all he did. But he had like everybody on his team was like 6'4" and like 0% body fat. And well, he learned our lesson. Meatloaf, very good at softball. That Meatloaf softball team was very good. Meatloaf, born on this day in 1947, dead now. Born on this day in 1963, a man who doesn't nearly get the credit that I think he deserves. Joe Rogan seems to overshadow him as far as being first and all that, and I don't know that that's necessarily the case. Born on this day in 1963, Mark Maron. Mark Maron. He is the host of the WTF podcast. It's been going for years and years. It's certainly one of the most important sit-down interview podcasts out there. Mark Maron, born on this day in 1963. Born on this day in 1964, Stephen Jenkins, American singer and songwriter, and doot. I was a big fan of Third Eye Blind. I thought they were great. I challenge you, play that song for anyone for the first time. You probably need to do this with your teenager. I did this with my teenager. Well, actually, it was in the car. It came on, and he's like, this song is fucking great. I'm like, it is great, isn't it? It's like super catchy. Stephen Jenkins once told me one of the coolest rock store stories ever. So Stephen Jenkins, with Third Eye Blind, he was doing our morning show. And I was talking to him in the green room, and he, little pre-interview, because he was really hot at the time, and there were all kinds of stories, and we were a record company friendly alternative radio station. So we want Stephen Jenkins to have a good time, and we want him to entertain our audience who are his fans. We weren't a shock station. We weren't looking for the gotcha man. So I'm sitting in the green room with Stephen, and I go, hey, Stephen, it's in the paper today that you are dating Winona Ryder. Can we ask you about that? Can we talk to you about that? And he's like, yeah, dude, no problem. Stephen Jenkins was really cool. He's like, yeah, dude, no problem. You can ask me about that, but I'm not dating her. I went out with her once. I went on one date with her. And I, just as an aside, I'm sitting there with him, and as an aside, and I go, yeah, how'd that go? He told me, he goes, well, we went to this really fancy French restaurant in San Francisco. And by the way, I didn't ask her out. She reached out to me. I get this like phone call, and apparently it's, someone in my PR department saying that Winona Ryder is trying to get a hold of me. And if I want to talk to her, here's her number. So I'm like, it's Winona Ryder, man. I'm like, okay, if she's into me, I could be into that. So I give her a call, and we go out to dinner, and we sit down, and we're sitting across from each other at this nice little table in this fancy French restaurant in San Francisco, and I start to realize that she's trying to give me a foot job under the table with her shoes off. So Stephen Jenkins is telling me a story about how he's sitting at the table across from Winona Ryder, and she took her shoe off, and she put her foot in his, like, right out of the bat, man. Like, there wasn't even a, this is awkward, we're just meeting, let's see if we like each other. No, it was like, he's like, dude, we hadn't even met our waitress yet, and she had her foot in my lap, and she was trying to manipulate. Stephen Jenkins is cool. All right, born on this day in 1964, born on this day in 1965, the great Steve Kerr. I love me some Steve Kerr. I will always love me some Steve Kerr. This is how I will always remember the great Steve Kerr. Now, I produced Chicago Bulls championship basketball, but I was gone by this time. By the time, this is the 97 season, I think, Game 6. This is my Steve Kerr. Always my Steve Kerr. Enjoy on his birthday.
The Bulls have it with 28 seconds left.
In the final seconds, with the score tied and the game on the line, this classic series would hinge on one dramatic play.
All right, see what's happening here. This is so cool. This is the timeout. Jordan leans over to Kerr and he says, look, if it's coming to me, I'm going to look for you. Be ready. And Steve Kerr is like, all right, Michael, I got you. I got you.
If he comes off, I'll be ready.
If he comes off, I'll be ready.
their feet here at the United Center.
It'll be a scoop if anybody but Michael Jordan takes this shot.
It is Michael Jordan time. Scottie Pippen looking for Michael Jordan.
Michael, 6 seconds, 5. Michael in traffic to Kerr, 15-footers. Bury the jumper.
Second, remaining in the fourth quarter.
Russell to inbound. Looking. Skip the cross. Pippen to steal. Scottie saves it to Tony. He runs the second. The Bulls win.
I'll take that shit for granted. I think that maybe in the moment when my team was winning 6 out of how many championships, I think there was maybe a danger of taking that for granted, especially after you win 2 in a row or 3 in a row. And then I don't know, now as an old man, I look back on those moments as a sports fan, as a lifelong sports fan, and where my teams are concerned, I do not take those moments for granted. What an incredible luxury to have a team that was so good. It was just not even close to have any legitimate competition. And that's provable by the fact that they played a different team just about every year. Just about every year in the finals is a different thing. There was just not one, just nobody could hang with those Bulls teams. And it was because of guys like Steve Kerr. Before Steve Kerr, you had a John Paxson. We also had a Craig Hodges. There were these role players. I mean, you could take Michael Jordan, who was an exceptional star, who could just about do anything. And if you game planned around his skill set, you could just plug and play almost anybody. Role players, guys to accentuate what it is that you need him to be able to do. And Steve Kerr was so great at that. 3-point sniper, back before there was really a 3-point sniper, right? Big Shot Bob sort of changed that. But I would argue that Steve Kerr was one of them, man. Big shot guy. Love Steve Kerr. Happy birthday to him. Would go on. I understand he would go on to be a coach in his own right. I don't know. I'll have to check that. Steve Kerr, born on this day in 1965. Born on this day in 1972. Happy birthday to Gwyneth Paltrow. I love Gwyneth Paltrow. I know Gwyneth Paltrow is one of those people that we're supposed to hear her name and go, I don't like her. I don't know why I don't like her. But Gwyneth Paltrow, huh? Candles, vagina, smells. Like what? That's people just, I don't know why people don't like Gwyneth Paltrow. She seems like first of all, here's what she is. 1, hot. She's very hot. She's tall. That body style. I love that body style. Oh, really, Pugs? You enjoy the tall, thin blonde. So what you're telling us here is that you enjoy the supermodel body style. That's, nobody else enjoys that, Pugs. You are out on a limb making that statement. No, she's beautiful. She does have one of the things that I do enjoy, though. She's got a long gazelle neck. I like a long gazelle neck. I like a girl with a long neck. I don't know what that is. I don't know why I like a long neck, but I do. I also like jewelry around that long neck. I like a choker. Choker, I don't know if they're in fashion. Bring them back. That's hot. I think a chick with a choker and her long, I don't know, it's just hot. So Gwyneth Paltrow's got that going on. Also, she's Pepper Potts. Fuck you, you don't like Pepper Potts. Pepper Potts is awesome. Pepper Potts from the Iron Man movies, from the Marvel Universe. She's cool. I totally like Pepper Potts. Iron Man movies. Number 3. All right, let's just turn a negative into a positive. Vagina scented candles. There you go. 3 reasons why I like Gwyneth Paltrow. Happy birthday to her. And I don't even know if she's a good actor. I don't know. She doesn't really do much, right? She doesn't really act much. Like, when was the last time Gwyneth Paltrow was in a movie that you're like, and Gwyneth Paltrow was really good in that? I don't know what she does anymore. She's attractive. I bet you she's still attractive, too. She's got to be breathing down 50, and I bet you she is. I bet you she's probably like half the 50-year-old trophy wives I see around Highland Park. They're just all like, wow, holding together well. Born on this day in 1972, Gwyneth Paltrow. Born on this day in 1974, here's another lady that I'm wildly impressed by. Oh my God, can we do a Kiss, Marry, Kill? All right, yeah, let's do a Kiss, Marry, Kill. Look at this. We've got a natural Kiss, Marry, Kill to end this. So the first was Gwyneth Paltrow. All right, Kiss, Marry, Kill. We're going to kiss one of them. We're going to marry one of them, spend the rest of our lives with them, and the other one we're going to kick to the curb. It's kiss, marry, kick. That's what it is, because we don't kill. We just kick them to the curb. Kiss, marry, kick. Gwyneth Paltrow, 1972. All right, here's this one. Born in 1974, Carrie Brownstein. Carrie Brownstein is from Portlandia. Well, Sleater Kinney, if you like alt rock, if you like Pacific Northwest alt rock, chick alt rock, Sleater Kinney. Portlandia. Do you guys ever watch Portlandia? I don't know. She's like a rock star who Fred Armisen was like, no, but she's also really funny and gifted as an improv artist. So let's do that. And they created the show Portlandia. And I was kind of like sus at the beginning of it. I hung around with my kid and his friends last night. I can't believe I just said sus. Let it pass. Let's not dwell on it. I was a little bit suspicious of her because he's just like, oh, she's a musician and this is like a weird IFC show and I bet there's not a whole lot invested in it, so maybe she's not good. Guess what? She's fucking great. Carrie Brownstein is hysterically funny. There you go. Carrie Brownstein, born on this day in 1974. Carrie Brownstein of Portlandia. We're playing Kiss, Marry, Kick. Okay, Kiss, Marry, Kick. Gwyneth Paltrow, born in 1972. Carrie Brownstein, born in 1974. All right, how about this one? Born in 2002. Yeah, I know. It's going to be, this was a young one, but whatever. Born on this day in 2002, Jenna Ortega. Jenna Ortega. All right, this is going to be difficult for me as a middle-aged man, the Kiss, Marry, Kick, but okay, I'll try and do it. All right, so Kiss. Well, I got to be honest, Jenna Ortega, she's young and hot and all that stuff, so, I don't want to marry her. She's 22. She's going to need a life. She's not ready. She's not ready to eat TV dinners on the couch and watch TV on a Friday night. She's got to be out in clubs. So honestly, I think we're going to kick Jenna Ortega. Too young. Not really going to work. All right, so that means we're going to kick Jenna Ortega. Now we got to do Carrie Brownstein and Gwyneth Paltrow. One of them we got to kiss, and one of them we got to marry, right? That's pretty easy. There you go. We're going to kiss Gwyneth Paltrow because she seems like really high maintenance. And we're going to go ahead and marry Carrie Brownstein because she seems fun. Look at that. We just did a kiss, marry, kick. Kiss, marry, kick. Gwyneth Paltrow, Carrie Brownstein, and Jenna Ortega. We're kicking Ortega. We're marrying Carrie Brownstein, and we're gonna make out with Gwyneth Paltrow. Yeah, that'll work. That'll track. All right, that's going to do it, folks. That is all we got for birthdays. What do you say we do deads? We got some people who died. This is where we take a look at folks who passed away on this day, people of significance, and we decide where did they go? Did they go to heaven or did they go to hell? Here we go. People who died on this day. Dead on this day in the year 19... Oh, we'll start with this. Oh, really? Okay, whatever. We'll do it. Dead on this day in 1921. Engelbert Humperdinck. Not that one. I know you're thinking, what, the guy that my weird old aunt listens to? No. Engelbert Humperdinck is a singer. We all know. Well, some of us anyway. And that's not even his real name. Like, his real name was like Bob Gray. And they went, no, we need something a little more flashy. What do you say we go with Engelbert Humperdinck? And of course, we all hear that name in America and we're like, that's a stupid name. It's the name of another dude, like a famous German composer and musical educator, and he's the one who died on this day in 1921, Engelbert Humperdinck. I don't really have a horse in that race. I don't care where he goes. So let's just send him to heaven. If he doesn't belong in heaven, they'll figure it out and they'll send him down. But I'm not going to banish anyone to hell just because I don't know anything about him. That seems to be kind of thoughtless and cruel. All right, moving on. Dead on this day in 1993, Dead on this day in 1993, Jimmy Doolittle, ladies and gentlemen. Jimmy Doolittle led the famous Doolittle Raid in World War II. He's a great American hero. The Doolittle Raid was not so much a tactical mission. It was actually kind of a suicide mission. It was more of a mission that the United States military needed to prove that they could do in order to potentially bring about an end to World War II, and more specifically the war in the Pacific. The Doolittle raid was designed to show the Japanese that American aircraft from aircraft carriers right there in the China Sea, or wherever it was, that they could reach Tokyo and that they could bomb Tokyo. That Tokyo was not safe. And Jimmy Doolittle, he led that raid. The Doolittle raid. So where do you think he's going? He's going to heaven. You think a guy who's got a flag up here who loves this country doesn't appreciate a dude who's like, so you're saying I'm probably not coming back? And they're like, yeah, that's what we're saying. It's like, let's do it. For God and country. And look at him, he did come back because he died on this very day, 1993. He lived, baby. Born in 1896. So was he 97? Yeah, he was 97 years old, Jimmy Doolittle. Good for you. You weren't supposed to make it back from your raid. You were supposed to ditch your plane when it ran out of gas, and you were supposed to be rescued by our Chinese friends. But I don't know, details escape me, but whatever. He's a cool guy. Cool guy did a cool thing for America. Dead on this day in the year 1998, Doak Walker. Who's Doak Walker? You know, who's Doak Walker? Doak Walker was a Heisman Trophy winner. He's a big dude in the area that I live in. He was a SMU football player, won the Heisman. He was an early NFL player. Doak Walker Plaza is right there in the center campus of, well, actually, it's not in the center campus. Doak Walker Plaza is adjacent to Ford Stadium, where SMU plays. Doak Walker, where does he go? He went to Highland Park High School. He's like really popular. Doak Walker Avenue, he's really popular. Where's he go? A rich kid. I don't know. Was he a rich kid? He grew up in Highland Park in like 1910. Was it still rich? Was it rich back then? Probably, I'm thinking. Anyway, I don't know where to go with Doak Walker. I don't know. Oh, you know what? One of my favorite pictures of my kid is taken. He's sitting on the Doak Walker Memorial there at on the SMU campus. It's a really cute picture of my kid. So he's going to heaven. We're going to put Doak Walker in heaven for leading a life that built that statue that led to my kid taking a picture that I look at and go, oh, that's cute. I like that picture. That's good enough. That'll get you in heaven. Dead on this day in 2017, Hugh Hefner, American publisher, founder of Playboy Magazine. That's right. That's a fun way to say magazine, Magazine. Hugh Hefner. Where do you want to put Hugh Hefner? So, I mean, he probably did some shit. I don't know, man. I don't know what to do with Hugh Hefner, because I do believe that Hugh Hefner plays an important role in the past 60, 70 years or so of a conversation that we've had in this country over what is the First Amendment and what does it protect. And let's just go ahead and put Hugh Hefner in hell, because he seemed to live a life while alive that a lot of us are like, that can't be real. That can't be, like, regular dudes are like, that Hugh Hefner can't have that life. So we're gonna put him in hell. Just because shit's got to even out somehow, right? All right, there you go. That's it, folks. Those are the first three quarters. Now it's time for us to get into all the hot topics, current events, and all the things that are happening today, the big news stories, what have you. Big winds are blowing. Helene. Do we know how we're saying it? I can't remember. I probably heard them say it on TV news, but it didn't register. Helene. Hurricane Helene came ashore last night. 140, some places 145 mile per hour winds. Crazy winds. Just mollywopped the Gulf Coast there of Florida. Where did it come? Like northwest of Tampa. Like Tallahassee was more inland. Gainesville, I think, is somewhere in there. It's a hurricane, guys. I mean, I don't know what to tell you about it. I mean, it's moving its way through. There's upended houses. People are dead. Obviously, I'm not the guy to give you this hurricane. It's boring. Yeah. Again, I said yesterday, I'm not going to live anywhere where there's bears, and I'm not going to live anywhere where there's hurricanes. There's probably a few other things that I'll also put on that list, but right now it's bears and hurricanes. Get out of there. You get a hurricane coming. Get out of there. I feel like that this has been a disappointing, not for me, but disappointing from the meteorological standpoint, hurricane season. Like, they've been like, it's nothing. So I can't tell. I can't tell if this is really a big, important hurricane that we need to pay attention to, or is it just that it's going to be the only one this year, so they're just blowing their hurricane wad on Helene. Here's something interesting, though. Did you guys see this on Fox News this morning? Let's watch this piece of video and then break it down and see what we think. This was from Fox News this morning. Their Good Morning America kind of show. I've never seen this show. I've only seen clips. Loud. Sorry, just got a really loud thing in my headphones. I hope it didn't come across the air. This is from Fox News this morning. This is a dude down there in Florida. Tampa, Florida is where he's based. He's doing a live shot with the Deuce. I call him the Deuce. Brian the K, and whoever the blonde fuckbot is they've got there now. Because don't they interchange those chicks? They're like, we need another hot chick. This one turned 35. Isn't that kind of what they do at Fox News? I don't know. They seem to have had a million hot blondes over the years. And every time I see a clip, it's a different one. But here we go. This was from Fox News this morning. Oh, shit. Wait, hold on. I got to do this backwards. This is their cover. My bad. This is their coverage of Hurricane. We're going to call it Helene. I think that's how we're saying it. Here we go. Watch this. This was kind of cool or interesting.
Bill Van Dillen, he's live in Atlanta, where flooding is getting worse and first responders are out in force. They're working to save lives. Hey, Bob, can you hear us?
Yeah, I got you. I got you loud and clear. And you can see right here, we've got this this lady drove into the area that's flooded out, and she's screaming right now. I just called 911. Fire department is coming.
All right, so just to set the scene of what's going on here. Wait, is he in Atlanta? Is he saying he's live? This is Atlanta? All right. So they just threw to him. They're doing their little small talk segment on the couch. They throw to him. Big breaking news. Let's go to I don't know what's his name. Phil. Let's go to Phil down there in Atlanta, which I didn't even know was being affected by this, but apparently. So he's doing the live thing, and he's like, "Yeah, well, we're down here in Atlanta." And in the background, I don't know if you can hear it, but there's someone going, "Help me! Help me!" And he's like, "Yeah, so it's pretty bad here." Just hearing this woman. So let's watch how he handles that. Now we know what the situation is. And if you got headphones on, that might be the only way to really hear her. Because I think when I was just watching this on the screen, I didn't hear her screaming to the degree. So if you got headphones, put them in. Listen to this woman screaming for her life while this guy does a little small talk segment with Fox News.
Screaming right now. I just called 911. Fire department is coming in, but she drove right into the flood waters. This is the Peachtree Creek, and it is rising at the moment. We've got this thing cresting at about 23 feet. It's going to go up a little bit more. This, by the way, we had the video of the high water rescues earlier. That was about a mile away from this spot where I am right now. So people are still driving around and seeing all these floodwaters and still going around. The barriers are getting in. So I am patiently waiting for 911 to come. They said the fire department was coming from Atlanta. I'm in North Atlanta right now on the corner of Northside Street, Northside Drive. It's a pretty big populated area right here. She is still screaming, but we got you. We got you. 911, they're coming.
He just like gives her the thumbs up. We got you. You can still hear her screaming. Isn't this crazy? Hold on. Hey, baby, we got you. We got you. 911 is coming. There seems to be a tone imbalance. Like, he should be a little bit more. We'll see how this plays out.
Coming here on the corner of Northside Street, Northside Drive. It's a pretty big populated area right here. She is still screaming, but we got you. We got you. 911, they're coming. You're good. You're good. Oh, man, it's a situation.
He went full Krusty the Clown. He went complete. She's screaming. He's like, ugh. Help me! Help me! And his response is, ugh. I love this guy.
We will get back. 911, they're coming. You're good. You're good. Oh, man, it's a situation. We will get back. Oh, man, it's a situation. We will get back to you in a little bit. I'm going to go see if I can help this lady out a little bit more, you guys. I'll be back.
Yeah. All right, Bob has got to go help them. Bob Van Dillen.
Terrified.
Just explain to our audience real quickly. you see that path right here. It's not as easy as it looks to get to that path. He's going to try to help her out, but it's a dangerous situation, even for firemen to get across.
All right, there you go. That's that was pretty dramatic, huh? Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I saw pictures of him like dragging her out, but I know, and it's a bit unfair too. I know we were having a little bit of fun with it because he's like doing his live shot while she's screaming. But he can't. I mean, I don't know how safe that is, right? It looks like she's maybe 50 yards away, but how deep is that? What is going on there? And he appears to have gotten to her. It appears that he got to her without any real trouble, so maybe it wasn't that deep. But so that means that he probably could have told the producer back in New York, hey, hold on, I'm going to be late to my hit. I got to go save a woman. And he could have walked over there and saved her, but he didn't do that. He was like, nah, let's go live. Her screaming in the background is going to be tits. It's going to be awesome. This is going to get my own show. I'll be on, after Gutfield. This will be great. All right, there you go. That's how about Netanyahu? Did you guys see this? Did you guys see this morning? I was watching this. Netanyahu went to the UN. I don't know, what is it? Open house at the UN this week? Everybody's hanging out at the UN. Everybody's speechifying. But it's a big one. It's a very big one that Netanyahu was there because Netanyahu, of course, the prime minister of Israel, very embattled world leader right now. A lot of people are like, you need to dial it back, and that whole thing. So he goes and he's giving this speech, which I'm telling you, this is a historic speech. I stopped and I watched most of it this morning because I'm like, this is historic. This is Khrushchev banging his shoe on the desk, during the Cuban Missile Crisis at the UN. This is Benjamin Netanyahu in the middle of this, standing up for his beliefs and his point of view as a defender of Israel and what he's telling all the rest of the world here at the UN about it. Some interesting notes about this. A lot of empty seats. There were a lot of protest absences. A lot of people were like, we're not going to show up and listen to this butcher. A lot of people did that. So he was speaking to an almost empty room. Well, here, let me just read you what he said. Here are some of the things that he said, okay? So he called the United Nations. This is why I say this is fucking Khrushchev banging his shoe, okay? Khrushchev banging his shoe became a major moment in history because of its place within the Cold War dialogue of the time and all of that, but it also showed the world that this guy was fucking pissed and kind of losing his mind, which scared a lot of people. That's why Khrushchev banging the shoe is important. Why is this Benjamin Netanyahu speech today at the UN important? It's because the entire world is... How long have we been talking about this so-called peace deal? How long have we been saying, well, Biden and Blinken are back and forth and they're going to get this peace deal done? How long have we been talking about that? A good 3-4 months at this point. This speech by Netanyahu today basically told the world, fuck that. There will be no peace deal. This dude got up there, Netanyahu, and he basically said, no, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, you're cool, fuck you. He just basically did that at the UN, telling the whole world, it's not going to be a deal. They're not going to be a deal until we've got our demands, and here are our demands, and if they ain't going to, and the demands are like things they will never meet. It's like, you get the land from here to there. We promise not to resettle, and I get to bang all your daughters right in front of you. How about that? I mean, they're never going to agree to what Netanyahu says is what he's looking for, and he will take nothing less. Netanyahu called the United States an anti-Semitic swamp. Oh, you don't think that's going to make the history books? Benjamin Netanyahu standing up in front of the UN General Assembly and calling them all to their faces, calling it an anti-Semitic swamp. Huge. He also went on to say this, and this is some powerful shit. He said, yes, we are defending ourselves, but we're also defending you. Check your fanaticism at the door. The singling out of the one and only Jewish state continues to be a moral stain on these United Nations. It has made this once respected institution contemptible in the eyes of decent people everywhere. For the Palestinians, the UN House of Darkness is home court. Ooh, man, that's some big historical stuff that he just went. That is, so yeah, big deals happening at the UN today. Netanyahu opens up a can of whoop ass on the world, defiantly tells everybody we ain't going to make a peace deal. We'll make a peace deal if they give me absolutely everything that we want and they just go away and stop being people. We will then make a peace deal. Short of that, heavy stuff. While that's going on, Zelensky and Trump were meeting in New York City. Zelensky is in town. UN, like I said, man, big doings going on with the UN this week. Zelensky's in town. They had some real awkward, minor press conference in the hallway there, what looked to be maybe Trump Tower or something in New York City. CNN broke in from whatever it is they were doing. We're going live now to a hallway at Trump Tower where Trump is standing next to Zelensky. I think someone's going to ask him a question. And so Trump and Zelensky stood there, and Trump said some things, and Zelensky said some things, and it was a little weird. Trump said some things, and Zelensky. See, Zelensky here, what is he, a Trump guy? No, Zelensky is a patriot for his country. Zelensky is trying to save as many of his countrymen as possible. And the way to do that is with support from the West. Well, the biggest cash register in the West, as far as this kind of stuff goes, is us, the United States. Why? Because we don't want to see a reformed Soviet Union. And we believe that begins with the annexation of Ukraine. And then we're going to go into Poland. And then before we know it, we've got the entire Eastern Bloc back again. So we in America do not want to see that happen in Europe again. So we understand. We understand that, or at least I understand that we need to help the Ukrainians push back we'll call it adventurism of Putin, who is just trying to get the Soviet Union back. And as an American, I don't want that, and you shouldn't either. So Zelensky, man, he's got to meet with Harris. He's got to meet with Trump. He doesn't know who's going to win, but he's going to have to deal with and hope to have the support of whoever wins. And they had a very nice little meeting in the hallway today. And then they went behind closed doors, and we don't know what happened there, but we will find out, I'm sure. In other news, Rudy Giuliani was disbarred today. Rudy can't be a lawyer no more, Rudy. Can't be a lawyer. What was he disbarred for? Election shit, I guess. Whatever. He's been caught up in so much nonsense. So Rudy Giuliani can't be a lawyer anymore. This is that fall from grace conversation that I like to have. These people, these massive people who once occupied, a position here, like way up, and now they're like way down. They've fallen from their position of grace. I always say that I think the biggest one of all time is probably Bill Cosby. When you look at where Bill Cosby was in 1989 and where he was in, say, 2009, yes, that is a massive fall from grace. Other examples are Lance Johnson. Lance Johnson was single-handedly in 2005 going to stop cancer. Oh, live strong. We're all doing, and then, all of a sudden he's disgraced. O.J. Simpson, another great example. He's running through airports and everybody's happy, former retired football guy. Who doesn't love the juice? Hollywood actor, all of that stuff. Nope. Fall from grace. Fall from grace. Diddy, I don't think Diddy's a fall from grace. I think to assign grace to Diddy at any point in his career would be a severe miscalculation. So we're going to leave Diddy out of that. But definitely Rudy Giuliani, America's mayor. The goodwill that we had offered Giuliani for no reason whatsoever, for just being the mayor of New York City on September 11th. There was no reason that he didn't do anything. As a matter of fact, it was Rudy Giuliani who caused probably the biggest problem in response to 9/11, the attack on the Twin Towers in New York City. It was Rudy Giuliani. Do you remember the scene? Remember you saw the scenes that made him famous were him and Bernie Kerik on the morning of September 11th standing outside the World Trade Center, and they were talking on phones that were attached to cars, and they were there, and they were in the street, and they had masks on and all of that kind of stuff. And the whole country went and said, that's the kind of mayor I want. That was bullshit. The only reason that he was conducting this from the rubble of the World Trade Center is because Giuliani had moved the city's response office to the World Trade Center. Like any kind of really big, terrible event that was going to happen in New York City, the command center was inside the World Trade Center. And Rudy was told, he was said, don't move it there. It's a target. What if that becomes a target? He was told that. And he was like, nah, I want it here, blah, 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 for whatever reason. So the only reason that he was outside on the street getting all of that glory, look at him. He's a mayor. He's on the scene. The only reason that happened was because he is the one who fucked up and put the command center. He should have been in the command center is my point. Any other mayor wouldn't have been seen because he'd have been in their command center where they had an office and electronics and they could command the actual tragedy. But no, he had to be hanging on a car phone. Fall from grace. Rudy Giuliani disbarred. He was always a clown show. Although I have a friend who is a New Yorker who also thinks that he's a clown show, who thinks he's become a big clown show, but he will go, he was a good mayor. He was a good mayor. He knew how to get this for a period of time. Giuliani had New York better. It was better than it had been previously. So credit where credit is due. But man, oh man, that's a fall from grace. How about this one? Do we know about you following this story? Apparently, Elon Musk, he now owns the Twitter box. He's Mr. First Amendment. Elon Musk, everything. This is a place for free speech and free truth and blah, 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 blah. He is apparently banished or blacked out or banned a journalist by the name of Ken Klippenstein. Klippenstein? I don't know who Ken Klippenstein. I don't know who he is. But it says journalist Ken Klippenstein has been suspended by X after publishing hacked J.D. Vance dossier. All right, so here's the story. You remember a couple of months ago when it was revealed that the Trump administration, or not the Trump administration, but the Trump campaign had been hacked by foreign assets? Yeah, you Trump people probably don't know whether to believe that or not, do you? You're like, wait, where did that story come from? Is that a lefty story? Do we believe that? Or is that a good story for Trump? So do we believe that they actually did? Or is that, no, we had nothing. They did, okay? It's a fact. The Iranians. And one of the things that was uncovered in this hacking was a dossier that was put together by the Trump campaign about J.D. Vance in the run-up to him being named the vice president. It's the vetting process. So they put together like a 200 and something page book about every fucking peccadillo, all the couch fucking, all of the former Trump criticisms, all of that. They put it together in a dossier, and that's what they used to vet him. That was apparently one of the items that was hacked by these Iranian hackers. Copies of the J.D. Vance dossier was sent to all the major news organizations, all of them. None of them, to their credit, would publish. And they wouldn't publish because it was hacked material. It came from a sketchy source. And, anyway, real journalists didn't go near it. This guy, Ken Klippenstein, though, he decided that he was going to publish. He was going to take it and he was going to put it on his own website and he was going to publish it. So he did that. And then when he linked to his website on Twitter, he put the Twitter out. He's like, hey, man, I've got the dossier on J.D. Vance. Come one, come all, check it out. And he tweeted that. He got banned. Now, it's interesting because, I thought that's not the kind of thing that Elon Musk did. I thought that whole point of X was to allow your Nick Fuenteses and your all of these extreme people to say all kinds of things that aren't true, to push sketchy conspiracy theories and all this. I thought that was it. But here in this case, because it's against the Trump Vance campaign, people are scratching their heads and they're wondering, well, what gives? What gives, Elon? So, all right, so let me give you the story here, okay, just for a little more context. Independent journalist Ken Klippenstein. Yeah, you want to know what bullshit that is? I'm an independent journalist. There you go. I'm an independent journalist now, just like Ken Klippenstein. Independent journalist Ken Klippenstein was suspended from X after he published the hacked dossier compiled by the Trump campaign during its vetting of J.D. Vance. Back in February, the Trump campaign compiled a research dossier on Vance in order to vet the Ohio senator as a potential running mate for Donald Trump. The 271-page document included a section about potential vulnerabilities, which included his past criticism of the former president. Soon after Trump picked Vance as his VP nom, an individual known as Robert sent the document to a reporter from Politico. In August, the Trump campaign revealed that it had been hacked by Iranian intelligence. Several other outlets were sent the vetting documents, but all refused to print on the grounds of both the unclear provenance of the information. That means sketchy chain of command. Where'd it come from? Who's writing this? Is this real? On the ground. So other major news contents creator, blah, 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 on the ground. They didn't publish because of unclear provenance of the information, as well as its apparent lack of newsworthiness. That's pretty cool. That mainstream media, which, I don't do a lot of praising of, but what they looked at something that is just an internal document from the Trump campaign about what they see as ways the Democrats could attack J.D. Vance should they choose him as VP. That's not news. That's something that's not news, but publishing it isn't news, but it's gossip, and it's a way for people who don't like J.D. Vance to go, see, they totally knew that he was, so it's not newsworthy. So very good. Ken Klippenstein, he thought it was. Now, I don't get to decide what's newsworthy. Neither do you. That's why this whole conversation about what is news, what is a journalist, and what falls under the First Amendment protections our Constitution affords each and every American is so complicated. Because who's to say? Who's to say if that's news? I happen to agree with mainstream publishers and editors who probably went, this ain't news. Klippenstein on Thursday published the dossier via his website. The dossier has been offered to me, and I've decided to publish because of its keen public interest in an election season. All right, there's public interest in it. There's also public interest in whether or not Trump poops his pants, but that's not something that is newsworthy or necessary to. You're not a journalist, you know what I mean? But I know that it may not be news, but there is keen public interest. The public has interest in all kinds of shit they don't need to know about. The dossier has been offered to me, and I've decided to publish because of its keen public interest in an election season, Klippenstein wrote. It's a 271-page research paper the Trump campaign prepared to vet now vice presidential candidate J.D. Vance. As far as I can tell, it hasn't been altered, but even if it was, its contents are publicly verifiable. I'll let it speak for itself. His account was then suspended within hours of publishing the dossier. X, which Elon Musk took over and promised to reinvent as a free speech platform, also doesn't allow users to even link to the report from Klippenstein. A spokesperson for X told journalist Justin Baragona that Klippenstein had been temporarily suspended for sharing Vance's personal information. The document shared by Klippenstein included his home address and partial social security number, according to a spokesperson. All right. So Elon is there. So here's where the arguments are coming for on this. So Elon is taking shit for not supporting the First Amendment when he says that that's all he does. This is only about the First Amendment. So, he is, there have been a whole lot of sketchy shit that has been on his platform that he has defended being there by leaning heavily into the First Amendment. So here now you have, I don't know who Ken Klippenstein is, but he apparently is a real journalist to some degree, more so than me probably. But, Elon Musk is like, no, you can't even link to it. Like, that seems like activism. Seems like he's being a bit of an activist on this particular piece of information that he doesn't want out there. Then you learn, it's got all kinds of personal stuff, a partial social security number and a home address. I don't think I need to have that kind of access to J.D. Vance's home address. I mean, I'm not going to do anything with it, but there's probably a lot of weirdos out there who do, so I make it easy for him. Well, you can get his home and this is what Ken Klippenstein is saying. He's saying that all the material that he has in here is readily available and free to you through the Public Information, Freedom of Information Act. So all I'm doing is just compiling all and put it in one place. And I'm like, yeah, gee, thanks. Thanks for doing that. Yes, it is all available. And if somebody is diligent enough and really wants to know about it, they can do the legwork and they can educate themselves. But what you've done is you've just created this nice little bullet points for people who, to now be swayed. I don't know. I don't like it. I don't think it's real journalism publishing, what Trump's inner circle thought of J.D. Vance before they made him the vice president candidate. I don't think that's news. I think that's gossip. I think that's bullshit and it's divisive. So let's move on. I also think that Musk should not have banned him. This is such a bad look for Musk. It's such an inconsistency. And I'll tell you, I just don't think these people care about being called hypocrites. I don't think they care. I don't think it registers. I think when you reach a certain amount of wealth, shame becomes sort of a holdover from when you weren't an actual titan among humans. Shame no longer exists for these certain people. So if Elon Musk wants to be hypocritical in such a bold way by banning a journalist after going on the record for the last couple of years, ardently defending right-wing journalists' right to say whatever they want, okay, you're comfortable with that. Good. We're moving on. Southwest Airlines is in the news. A bunch of people, boy, I got a bunch of friends who work at Southwest Airlines. A lot of them just, they work in reservations or whatever, but I've got a couple of friends who have been very active on Twitter over the past couple of days. Friends, I call them friends. I guess they're just people I follow, but they are mad about what's going on at Southwest Airlines. Apparently a hostile takeover was attempted at Southwest Airlines. Can I just say before we move forward with this that I absolutely love Southwest Airlines. Love it. Love, 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 love. I know that Dallas-Fort Worth is home to two big old airlines. Dallas, our hometown airlines is American. Fuck American. I hate American. American sucks. First of all, don't like DFW. So that's kind of the up and down with DFW. Like I hate going to DFW and I hate using DFW. But conversely, if I'm at DFW, I'm probably going on a cool trip. I'm going someplace cooler than I would if I was just going on where am I going on at love on Southwest? Chicago, maybe, Chicago or New Orleans, Phoenix. What are we talking about? Nothing great. But if I'm flying on American Airlines out of the DFW, well, I could be going to Europe. I could be going anywhere. Anyway, I like Southwest Airlines. My favorite flight on the planet is Chicago Midway to Dallas Love on Southwest Airlines. It is so easy. Both of those airports are like the coolest fucking big city, small airports you could ever want to be a part of. You just park, you just pull in, you park, you walk across one little bridge, and then you're in the airport. There are no trams, there's no trains, there's no nonsense, there's no 50 million people all there at once. Love Field, man, I'm telling you, Love Field is great. And Southwest is a part of it. And now apparently to stave off this hostile takeover attempt, Southwest is going to change up some of the things that they do. Here's what they're saying. Southwest Airlines says it will introduce assigned seats and other such premium perks in 2026. Assigned seats? What's the point of that? I don't care where do you really care? What's that going to cost me, right? Okay, so what? So you're right. Look, Southwest, let's stop pretending. You're still expensive. An airplane ticket isn't cheap. It's not like, taking a city bus somewhere. It's still kind of expensive, a couple $100, a lot, I understand that there are more expensive airlines and all that, but airfare in general is flying, is expensive. So now how are you going to up this price? Let's read on, shall we? Let's see. Goes on to say Dallas. Dateline, Dallas. Southwest Airlines executives on Thursdays unveiled their vision for Southwest 2.0. No, I don't want Southwest 2.0. I like Southwest. I like Southwest. Southwest 2.0, an airline that for the very first time will give passengers assigned seats. No. Going to charge them extra for more legroom. Legroom is fine. I have expectations of how I'm going to feel on an airplane in Southwest. You're fine. I don't need more legroom. I don't want to pay for more legroom. Is this going to be like when you bought cable packages and like there was 50 home and garden channels, and they're like, you're getting 300 channels. And I'm like, yeah, but 150 of them are home and garden, and I'm never going to watch that. So why are you charging me more? That's what the extra legroom is going to be. You're going to charge like 5'5" dudes for the extra legroom? Is that what you're going to do? The airline will also repackage its sale of vacation packages. It will seek partnerships with international airlines, starting with Icelandic Air next year, that executives say will make Southwest credit cards and frequent flyer programs more attractive. These changes will mount to the biggest ever at Southwest, which is the original low-cost airline. But is now well into middle-aged and suffering from sagging financial results. Southwest executives pitched the new offerings as they came under increasing pressure from an activist investor who wants to replace the airline's management and force a review of its strategy. Southwest annual profits is on pace to decline for the third straight year, and its stock price has fallen by more than half since 2021. Yikes. Half? Wow. Going to have to sell one of your islands. That's a bad, you don't have to sell all of your islands, but you're probably going to have to sell one of your islands, okay? It's all right. We'll get it back up. We've got a plan for Southwest 2.0. We're going to be making that money again. You're going to buy 5 more islands. Crazy anonymous activist Southwest investor. Here's what Southwest CEO Robert Jordan declares. He says, our model is not broken. But it does need tweaking and, quote, enhancement. He says, we are not producing the financial results that we are capable of delivering, he said at a meeting with investors at the airline's Dallas headquarters. Southwest said its multi-year plan includes changes to its flight network, and they believe these will add about $1.5 billion in pre-tax earnings in the year 2027. Southwest had previously given the outlines of changes, including assigned seating and extra legroom, but it gave more details about them on Thursday. So I guess they had mentioned this before, that they were thinking about going in this direction, but yesterday was the day when they said, nope, it's official, we're going. Executives detailed how each of Southwest's 4 airfare tiers will come with perks that get better as the price rises. Like, one of these is going to be like, you get to ride in the wheel well. Who's up for that? It's like, oh, well, it's $50, Chicago to Dallas, $50. Can't beat that. And then they load you in like the luggage, like sitting next to like a giant Samsonite bag. Riding in the wheel well, that's $25. Hang on, it's going to get cold. Does not include beverage service. Jordan said it will take time to make these significant changes. Airline has 800 planes. How are they going to make more legroom? We're going to remove. Okay, is that what you're going to do? You're going to remove seats. That's it. You're just going to remove rows. You're going to make up for it for the missing rows by more legroom. Okay, I see what you're doing. Whatever, Southwest. Whatever. Here are also 2 things that I really like about Love Field and Midway. This is why I love flying between Chicago and Dallas. Love Field and Midway. I've been to a lot of airports, not as many as some, but I've been to a lot of airports for someone like myself. The food courts at both Love Field and most definitely Chicago are top tier. They're incredible. The food options, I'll give you an example of this. Now, we'll talk about Chicago because it doesn't really mean anything, but really good hot dogs. Like, their food court has Gold Coast dogs. Their food court has Kronos Gyros. Their food, all of like these great Chicago street foods are like right there in the Midway food court. And it's all good stuff. So it's like, hey, you're in Chicago, get off the plane, get a hot dog. Love Field's got a Whataburger, yo. Love Field's got a Whataburger. That's incredible. That is like the coolest thing. When I was living in Chicago, I used to love getting off a plane to come to Dallas, and then just before even going to get my bags, just, sitting down and grabbing a Whataburger, because sometimes you just have that taste. You need that taste. Southwest Airlines going through some changes. Southwest Airlines 2.0 coming soon. Coca-Cola is shelving one of their new products, Coca-Cola Spiced. Do you know what Coca-Cola Spiced is? I don't know what this stuff is. I've seen it. I think I've seen it, and I've been like, Coca-Cola Spiced? Like, that's a bad name. That's a bad name. Because it doesn't really, because spices can be anything. And so you don't know what that is. Is it hot? Is it spicy? No, because then you'd think it would say like Coca-Cola Spicy or Coca-Cola Fire or, something like that. They'd go all, Gen Z cool. So nobody knew what Coca-Cola Spice was. Do you have any guesses as to what the flavor of Coca-Cola Spice? Remember, they called it Coca-Cola Spice. So do you have any guesses on what the flavor was? Cinnamon? No. No. Cumin? No. Didn't do a cumin salad or soda. Coca-Cola Spice was obviously raspberry. What? Why not call it Coca-Cola Fruit? Why are you calling it Coca-Cola Spiced and it's a raspberry flavored Coke? That makes zero sense. And so here we are. Coca-Cola is shelving Coca-Cola Spiced, admitting that, nobody knew what the fuck it was, and we weren't entirely sure either. Coca-Cola is discontinuing its newest permanent flavor. Yeah, they had really high hopes. They were like, "Well, this is going to be forever. People are going to love Coca-Cola Spiced." Coca-Cola is discontinuing its newest permanent flavor a little more than 7 months after pushing it on the market. The beverage giant said Wednesday that Coca-Cola Spiced and Coca-Cola Spiced Zero will be phased out and replaced with a new flavor that will be introduced next year. What's the new flavor? Coca-Cola, what are we going to spice? Coca-Cola Savory. Oh, Coca-Cola Savory. That's interesting. What does it taste like? Peaches. Why would that? Peaches are not savory. Coca-Cola is discontinuing its newest permanent brand. The beverage giant said Wednesday that Coca-Cola Spiced and Coca-Cola Spiced Zero will be phased out and replaced with a new flavor. Here's a quote now. "We're always looking at what our consumers like and adjusting our range of products," the Atlanta-based company said in a statement. Coca-Cola Spiced went on sale in the U.S. and Canada on February 19th. At the time, the company said it would be the first new permanent addition to its North American portfolio in years. Coca-Cola didn't elaborate Wednesday on what went wrong. They don't need to. It's called Coca-Cola Spiced, and it tastes like raspberry. I don't know that that's the entire reason it went wrong, but Coca-Cola didn't elaborate on what went wrong, but it might have been the name. Now, here you go. Yeah, Coca-Cola Spiced doesn't have much heat. And considering that the drink tastes mostly like raspberry, it never made sense. That's exactly what I just said. Or it may have gone to market too quickly. No, no, it's because it was a terrible name. Nobody knew what it was. Coca-Cola Spiced doesn't sound like something I want to drink. Coca-Cola Spiced, like what is it, clove cigarette flavor? What is spiced? Clove? I don't know. No. Anyway, there you go. We don't have to worry about Coca-Cola Spiced anymore. They can GTFO. Let's see here. Maggie Smith has died. You guys know who Maggie Smith is? It's an old British lady. I guess she did some Harry Potter shit. She was like a Harry Potter respectfully. I think she was mostly best known as a Downton Abbey lady. She was an old lady. They called her a dowager. Don't know what that is. Didn't have time to look it up. I've heard it used before. What does dowager mean? Does that mean old whore? Or does that mean just the exact opposite? Like old never, I don't know. Dowager queen. I've heard that. What's a dowager queen? Is a dowager queen a queen that's never had a king? I don't know. These are the kinds of things that I'll be looking into earlier or later today. Maggie Smith has died. She was like 115. No, I mean, she was, if you're a Downton Abbey person, just Google her name. You're like, oh no, the nice lady. Was she nice? I don't think she was nice. Dowager doesn't sound complimentary. Maggie Smith. Maggie Smith dies at the age of, let's just go ahead and say 104. Lana Del Rey. Y'all, I got a thing for Lana Del Rey. I have evolved on Lana Del Rey. The very first time I saw Lana Del Rey was on Saturday Night Live. Saturday Night Live, tonight's musical guest, Lana Del Rey. So I'm like, I don't know who that is, but whatever. Maybe she's hot, and I'll check her out. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Lana Del Rey. And then, she comes out, and she just like stood there. You can probably find it on YouTube. Lana Del Rey's first SNL appearance. It was awful. I was like, oh my God. This broad sucks. Oh my God, does she suck? I remember thinking, who is she sleeping with? Is this a Mariah Carey situation where Mariah Carey hooked up with Tommy Mottola and then all of a sudden Mariah Carey was like the biggest recording star in the planet because she hooked up with the guy who owns Sony Records? Is that what's going on here? Because if that's what's going on here, at least Mariah Carey has a world-class elite vocal sound. I didn't know what the hell I was listening to with this Lana Del Rey. I'm like, where did she come from? So I was very, very dismissive of Lana Del Rey. And a couple of years go by, and I'm with this person, and we're in this bar. I'm like, oh, I like this song. And like, who's that? And they're like, Lana Del Rey. I'm like, what? I'm like, holy shit, I like a Lana Del Rey song. And then it happened another time. I'm like, this chick's cool. Who is this again? And they're like, Lana Del Rey. And I'm like, what? I thought I hated Lana Del Rey. What? She's so melancholy. I wouldn't know how else to describe her. She's I don't know. Anyway, and then there was the story over the week, over the summer, right? Beginning of the summer. Remember, it was like Lana Del Rey has sold 50 million records or whatever it is. But Lana Del Rey has sold all of these records, and she's working at a Waffle House. Remember that story that went around? The insinuation from the tabloids, Lana Del Rey is reduced to being a Waffle House waitress. The insinuation was that she's lost everything, and now look at her, which is not the truth. Because I remember when that story came out, I'm like, she doesn't have to work at a Waffle House. She's like really successful. She's like, why is she? So, and then remember, we found out months later that it's just such a cool story because she's a cool chick, and it had nothing to do with her working at a Waffle House. What it is that she's down there in Alabama, and there's some like really big recording studio that she's down there recording at, and she's been down there for months recording this new album. And the only place in this town to hang out is either the recording studio or the Waffle House. So over the course of a few months, her and members of her band would go to the Waffle House and hold court there, and they were there every day. And through the process of this, they became friends with the people who worked at the Waffle House. So for one afternoon, while just hanging out, killing time between sessions, Lana Del Rey had felt so comfortable because she had been there. She knew where everything was. She'd been there every day for months. She started having fun and waiting some tables, and they took some pictures, and it went out on Instagram, and the tabloids declared, Lana Del Rey is so broken that she's working. Anyway, that wasn't it. She was just being cool. Because as it turns out, she's a fucking cool chick and really talented, an incredible writer. So now comes the latest Lana Del Rey story. She's married. She got married. She got married today. Or she got married yesterday, Lana Del Rey. I mean, we're talking about someone who truly is considered one of the great writers of the last 20 years of music. She's an icon. She is long past the one-hit wonder thing. She is to her fan base, to a large group of people globally. She is an important voice and an important performer. So she's not going anywhere. So don't think about that. So she gets married. She married a regular dude. She married a regular dude that she met. And by the way, this isn't just she just met him and now they're getting married because she's a wacky pop star. No, she's been dating this regular dude for 5 years. He operates alligator fan boat tours to people on vacation somewhere down there in Louisiana. He's just one of those dudes. It's you go down to Baton Rouge for vacation or something. Let's go on an alligator boat or whatever it is. And he's the guy that takes you out there. He's just a regular dude. And again, this isn't, Britney Spears marrying that Jason Alexander rube for 24 hours because they get fucked up and go to Vegas. No, Lana Del Rey's been in a relationship with this dude for 5 years. Just a regular dude. Holy crap. Could you imagine hitting the jackpot like that? We'll show you some pictures and how they got married. They got married at this dude's alligator fan boat tour place. Here's the thing. She seems like such an authentic, cool person that it doesn't seem, if she didn't strike me that way, you'd look at this and go, oh, she's going for the irony thing. I get it. She's like a super sophisticated global pop star. And this is all ironic that she's getting married in this like hillbilly. No, it doesn't strike me that way with her. It strikes me like she met this dude 5 years ago. She really dug him. She doesn't care that he's not a big superstar or anything. And now he's like just a regular dude, a regular working class dude, and he's married to one of the biggest pop stars. It's just pretty cool. I just think she's a pretty cool chick. This is a quote that I love about her that I found this. This is her talking about how she got sent away to boarding school. This is so funny. Folks, I want you to hear this. She got sent away to boarding school. And I got sent away from boarding school too, but she got sent away to boarding school. And here's what she says about that. She says, when I was very young, I was sort of floored by the fact that my mother and my father and everyone that I knew was going to die one day. And also that I, too, was going to die. I had a sort of philosophical crisis. I couldn't believe that we were mortal. For some reason, that knowledge sort of overshadowed my entire life experience. I was unhappy for quite some time. I got into a lot of trouble. As a teenager, I used to drink a lot. That's a deep kid. That is 14 years old. 14 years old. They sent her to boarding school because she started just getting drunk all the time at 14. And she's not getting drunk at 14 because she's a reckless kid who just wants to have this social life. She's getting drunk at 14 because at 14 she had this existential crisis about her own mortality. God, that's funny. That is a deep kid. That is a kid. All right, there you have it. Anyway, let's take a look at some of these. These are, we got some pictures of her. We'll see how she got married. We'll see what it looks like. Figure out what this dude's name is. All right, let's see. What is this? Look at her. There she is. You see her? I'm not sharing it with you. Hold on, I'll share it with you. Here's a picture of her walking down the aisle with her like just normie boyfriend. Apparently, the English tabloids had drones, so all of this was captured, via drone. Yeah, just look at. Okay, there you go. There's a close up of him. That's the other thing about her. She's very pretty, but she's not like she's not Britney Spears. Like, remember when you see Britney's hot, shit like that. She's not like that. I don't know. She's a pretty woman. She's a pretty woman, but she's got like this sort of sophistication, this elegance, almost this like subdued dignity that is like different from pop stars. There she has her and her dad. Look at her. How traditional is that? She has her dad there. All right. There's the happy husband and wife, the couple. Man, that dude hit the jackpot, right? It's like just a regular dude. Yeah. My God. Any other more pictures there? All right, here's some. Okay, so this drone shot picture, this one seems to be, there's a lot of these. And there's the wedding procession. I don't know who these people are. Show me, I want to see the whole property where they got married so you can see. It's just like one of those boat rental places. It's not. There it is. There it is. This is like a boat rental place. This isn't like anything you would expect a major pop star to get married. All right, best of luck to the Lana Del Rey family. I don't even know what the dude's name is. We don't need to say his name because he's not famous. He's just a regular guy. All right, finally tonight, we're going to talk about a study. This is this comes from Axios. Okay, so Axios put this out today. I thought this was interesting. Let's look at this. This is a map that shows the loneliest states in America. Okay, are you wondering, where do you live? You live in Texas, you live in Illinois, you live in California, Florida, New York, Colorado. Let's check this out. This is going to show you what states are saddest. Okay, here. Now, here's all you need to know. Boop, 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 boop. The darker, see that? We're looking to see you got, look at Hawaii. You can barely see it. It's so light. The darker the color, the sadder you are as far as like the states. So as you can see, you got down there at the bottom left. So you got Alaska. Alaska is very dark, very sad. Nobody in Alaska. They're all very lonely. And then you see right next to it, you see Hawaii. Hawaii's all light. It's like, oh, brah, we got tourists all the time, brah. That was not a great Hawaiian act. I can't do Hawaiian. What you talking about, brah? I can't do a Hawaiian accent. I'll work on that. I promise you I will. My two states, Texas and Illinois, exactly the same level of loneliness. You got Bangor, Maine. Looks like the extremes are pretty. What's the blue one in the Pacific Northwest? I got to be honest with you, okay? I'm not stupid. I don't consider myself a stupid person. I know that there's a lot of room for improvement. I don't know which is on the very top. Oregon, is Oregon above Washington or is Washington above Oregon? I don't know. Which is the lonely one? Because it's those two, Northwest corner states that we got there. Which one is sad? I don't know. I'm going to say, which one has Seattle? Because isn't Seattle like lonely and sad? I guess those are two things. Anyway, there you have it. That's Axios. Well, look at Florida's not sad at all. Florida's like just oblivious. They're not lonely at all, I should say. Washington. So which okay, you just Rob. Which one's on? The question is, which one is on top? The way to answer my question would have been Washington is on top. Just so I know context. Oregon is lonely. There you go, Joel. Thank you. Oregon is the lonely one. I love the topic of loneliness. I love the topic of, and here's why. Because all my life, I have been able to play off of the perception that loneliness is sad. That, poor guy, he's just lonely. I was an only child. So only child, nobody else. I spent a lot of time all by myself in my room. And then as an adult now, I have a lot of really great friends, but I don't really do much. I don't really get out much. I do this every day. You people stop me from being lonely. That's not true. My point is this. I think there is a difference between being lonely and being alone. Talked about this with my son, and I think I've also had this conversation with my mother, because my mother is also this way. Some people who you look at and you think, oh, they must be lonely, you're thinking that because you're projecting your own idea of what someone lonely would look like. You just project, oh, that seems lonely. Being alone is different than lonely. Like, as I said, I'm an only child. Do you think that like my entire life growing up when I was alone in my bedroom from 3 years old to like 17, 18, 19, you'd think I spent all of that time going, oh, I'm so sad, I'm lonely, I need someone. No, it became my norm. And when something becomes your norm, it ceases to be debilitating in an everyday way. I prefer, as does my mom, as does my son, I prefer to be left alone. Like the idea of sharing, like I was teasing my kid about this, about sharing bedrooms. I'm like, you will never have to share a bedroom. You and I have that in common. I never had to share a bedroom. And my kid looked at me. He looked at me and he went, Dad, I don't know if I could do that. I don't know if I could share a bedroom with somebody else. I go, yeah, no, I couldn't either. Like another person? Like another, not, I've been married twice. I had difficulty sharing a bedroom with them. Really? No. Need our space. Me and my kid. We need our space, man. Need to be alone. Need to be with our thoughts. So that's a thing my grandma, or his grandma, and myself, we all share. But important. There is a difference between being lonely, and being someone who prefers to be left alone. I need my alone time. Needing one's alone time. Hey, you want to watch this movie? No, I don't want to watch a movie with a stranger. Or not a stranger, but a friend. I want to watch a movie by myself so that I can just get in. Well, don't you, it's kind of sad that you go to movies by yourself. No, it's not. It's preferred that I go to movies by myself. Occasionally we'll go to a movie with somebody else, but if I want to see a movie in a theater, first of all, this is a very rare occasion these days. There are no movies that I need to see in a theater that isn't going to be available in some form on pay-per-view within weeks of it being in the theater. So I don't need to go to a theater anymore. But, I used to go to theaters all the time by myself. Got a couple of hours to kill. All right, I'll go in there. Haven't done it in a while, though. I remember, this is funny. I remember in the middle of the day once, I had a meeting. I was up in just outside of Schaumburg in Chicago. This was a few years ago. And I was at a meeting and the meeting fell through. Something happened. We couldn't do it. So I was stuck up there. And then they're like, hey, can we push it back like 2.5 hours? And I'm like, sure. So I went to a movie in like the middle of the day. I just needed to like kill some time. So I was like, okay, it was hot. It was summer. I'm like, I'll go to a movie. And so I went and I saw Wonder Woman. Remember the original one? Not the original one from the 70s, but the one with Gal Gadot, the first real Wonder Woman movie. And I went and I saw that. And I remember thinking, okay, I'm going to see this movie. That's fine. And then I looked around. It's like 12:30, 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And I look around in the theater and it's just me and a bunch of other spare dudes. And I'm like, wait a second. Are dudes coming to Wonder Woman in the middle of the day to play with themselves? What? This is Woodfield Mall. Anyway, I felt very uncomfortable. So I actually left about, an hour into the film. I was like, I don't. And then I just bummed around the mall, and that's how I killed the time. But I go to movies all the time. I just don't know that I'll go see a Wonder Woman movie again in the middle of the day, all by myself. People will think I'm a sex perv. People will think I'm a Fred Willard. Remember when Fred Willard did that? No, we don't think about that because Fred Willard is such a cool guy. We don't like to think about the time that he got caught jerking it in a porn house. That is not what I choose to remember about the great Fred Willard. All right, guys, that's going to do it. I hope you have a good weekend. Cowboys last night. How do you feel about the Cowboys game last night? I thought they were going to lose it. I really did. I thought that they were going. And then I went, oh, yeah, wait, Daniel Jones. That's right. No, never mind. They'll be fine. They will be fine. But it was touch and go. It was good. We got the win. That's what we needed. Cowboys needed the win. We got the win. Everything's good. We can right the ship. We can exhale. That was a win. That was a game you're supposed to win, and they did win. So check that box. Good for the Cowboys. Still got a lot of work to go, though. Daniel Jones in that New York offense, even though, it's Malik Neighbors. I'm like, yeah, but he's a rookie. And Daniel Jones is throwing to him, and Daniel Jones is behind that line, that offensive line that has, been a work in progress for about 5 years there in New York. Shouldn't have been that close. The Cowboys should have won by a lot more. This is what I told my son. Should have won by more. You should have gone in there. It should have been decisive. That would have told me that you're right. You've righted the ship. But they didn't. They went in. They eked that out. I'm sorry to say. It was an eke out. If you're in like the end of the game and Daniel Jones has a chance to win it, you're giving if the team on the final drive they have a chance to win it. That's not how the Cowboys should have gone up against the New York Giants. The New York Giants should have gotten blown out. Anyway, thank you, Chris. I'll be doing Chris's podcast as a guest. We'll tell you more about that. I think we're recording it on Monday. Not sure if he's going to do live or whatever, but I'll be a guest on Chris's The Sports Bras on Monday. I'll let y'all know about that Monday afternoon. Thank you, Chris. One more time, a thank you so much to our executive producer, Tracy D. Thank you for helping out, keeping this show alive, a show that loves America. Yeah, see there, America. We love it. We love America, and I can't be lying to you because I got a flag. What do I need to mention? Oh, I can talk a little bit about this. Really, 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 really enjoying the Mr. McMahon docuseries on Netflix. I knocked out another episode last night, so I think I only got 2 left. Mr. McMahon is a new docuseries. I think it's 6 episodes. It debuted on Wednesday on Netflix. It is a no-holds-barred documentary look at the life and the persona and the deeds of Vince McMahon. And it takes you all through the history of WWF and the WWE. And I am a tangential fan of that stuff. I've never been, at least not in my adult life, somebody who ever watched, Raw, Monday Nitro or Raw or what. I'm not familiar with that stuff. So it's not, I'm not a wrestling fan, but I do understand it and have an interest in it. It's a form of show business that I'm unfamiliar with. So I have an interest in it. And boy, oh boy, did I learn a whole lot of stuff. Fascinating episode about the WCW and Eric Bischoff, and when Hulk Hogan and Scott Hall and all that, they moved over to the WCW, and then the formation of the NWO and all that. I remember all of that stuff without even being a wrestling fan, because that stuff sort of permeated into, let's call it, civilized cultural society. Like, we knew all these people, and really interesting. Went with the Hart family, the situation with Vince McMahon and how he screwed over Bret Hart in Montreal when Bret Hart was leaving to go to the WCW, and then how years later Owen Hart, Bret's brother, would die in the ring. Oh my God. So Owen Hart, of course, of the Hart wrestling family, Owen Hart died in, what was this, 2000 and I don't know what year it was that he died. 98 maybe? Maybe it was, I don't know, whenever it was. They were lowering Owen Hart. This is a big sold out stadium, and people like, WrestleMania, or whatever it was. And they were lowering Owen Hart down from the rafters, 78 feet on a cord. He was making this big entrance, and the shit broke, and he fell, and he died. Right there. He fell from the rafters, and he died right there in the center of the ring, in front of everybody, in front of a packed house of people. However, he was making his entrance. When he fell, they were in a blackout, which means all the lights are out, and maybe there's some strobes going or some smoke, and it's like, now entering the ring. And while that was going on, and you couldn't exactly see because they were going to turn the lights on, but that's when he fell. There was no spotlight on him at the time. They hadn't even introduced him yet, but he was getting ready to do this thing and starting to be descended, and that's when he fell. It was a blackout. So nobody in the stadium saw Owen Hart fall, other than the people who were in the ring and the people who were up there in the rafters with him. So this 20,000 people that were in the stadium, they were oblivious. All they know is that when the lights came up, there was a whole bunch of medical personnel in the middle of the ring, and they had no idea what was happening. He died. He died right there. They declared him dead, and they wheeled him out. Now remember, you've got a stadium filled with people who have paid to see this big wrestling event. Someone has just died in front of them, but they're oblivious to that. They're not going to know that this person died until they leave the stadium, maybe hear the news about it on the ride home or something. But these people in the stadium are still expecting a wrestling event. The stadium, the mat, was bloodied with the blood of Owen Hart, who had just died in front of everybody. And so Vince McMahon had to make the decision to refund all the money and send everybody home and say, look, we can't go on with this. I mean, we've all just suffered such an incredible tragedy. I mean, he died right in front of us. You're now going to send out all of these other wrestlers to put on a wrestling show. That's their boy. That's their friend. They just watched their friend be taken out with a sheet over his face indicating that he's dead. They just watched them roll that through the dressing room, where all the other wrestlers who were getting ready to go out there had to see this dead guy, their dead friend. Vince McMahon decided to go on with the show. Oh my God. And he's like, well, nobody saw it. I just figured, he would want it this way. And they went on with the show. And all the other wrestlers who were on that bill, and there was a bunch of them, from The Rock to all of these other people, all of the other wrestlers, they showed the footage of them wrestling in this ring that, by the way, was stained with blood from Owen Hart. Showed all these guys wrestling in the ring and all that, and they were just not into it. It was like, you could totally tell. Like, all of these wrestlers were fucking freaked out. They were half going through the motions. They weren't like really selling it. It was obvious that these wrestlers, were really upset. The crowd had no idea. The crowd just thought they saw a shitty show. The crowd just thought, well, this one kind of was lame. And then, of course, they found out. But, man, think about the individual, Vince McMahon, who had to make that choice, who had to decide whether or not the show goes on, or do you make all of these guys go out there now and act like clowns while they try to step over the blood-stained mat, the blood of their friend Owen Wilson? What an ugly, ugly thing. I mean, I obviously think Vince McMahon did the completely wrong thing, the disrespectful thing, the horrible. But my God, I mean, if you were somebody in that, again, if you're in that stadium, do you worry about, I guess, do you cancel the show and what? Do you worry about wrestling fans not being able to handle that? Especially when they don't have the context of why the show is being canceled. They'll just be like, what? Fuck this. Let's start throwing shit. I mean, is that what they were worried about? Maybe so. I don't know. Anyway, that's, I think, episode 3. There's 6. I'm halfway through it. Enjoy this weekend. Netflix. Mr. McMahon. It's an interesting documentary series. Also, I guess it's on Apple TV. Wolves. Huh? Have you seen this? Have you seen the Wolves? Wolves. I like anything that Brad Pitt and George Clooney do together. I'll tune into that. I like those two guys. They got great chemistry. They seem to like one another. The new movie Wolves, they play a couple of fixers. You know, fixers are guys that fix situations so they don't have to go to the police. You know what I mean? Like a superstar athlete accidentally kills a prostitute in a cocaine binge. You don't call the police, you call a fixer. And the fixer comes in and makes it all go away. Clooney and Pitt both play a couple of competing fixers who, for some reason, they have to work together. I don't know what the details are. I'll let you know. I'm going to watch it this weekend. Fixers. That's on, or no, Wolves. That's on Apple TV. Nina says the show must go on. I don't know about that, man. I don't know about that. All right. Thank you, folks. Love you all. We'll see you back here on Monday. Thank you to Tracy D, our executive producer. Thank you to everybody who helps tip and make sure this show continues. You're all the best. I love you. Have a great weekend. God bless America. Bye, everybody.